Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Today, something very off the wall indeed. I'm not sure what to make of this. It's the latest from ICM. It's a prototype aircraft from the Germans in World War II. German attack aircraft, the Focke-Wulf Fw189C stroke V-6, which was basically, it seems, some sort of a flying tank. I think it was like think of it as a World War II version of the American Warthog or Thunderbolt, the A-10. It's kind of a similar concept to that, a heavily armoured ground attack aircraft, which looks most bizarre because there's not a lot of cockpit stroke cabin, but it is bristling with guns and it's heavily armoured. But I'm sure we'll get into the history of it in a minute. Anyway, so it's kit number 72290. It's in 76 scale, so it won't be that huge. And it's a very interesting looking thing. It almost looks like an insect, doesn't it? Let's just zoom in a bit more. It's got this sort of insectoid look to it. Most bizarre, really. and another one of these strange journeys that the sort of German air industry went off. The Reichsministry during World War II, putting resources into all sorts of strange things, which didn't do them any good in the end. The side view of it is most peculiar, even weirder at the side, and again looks a bit like almost like a dragonfly, isn't it? Most curious. Anyway, it says on the side, there's no history here, they'll give us that later, but it says experimental attack aircraft based on the twin-engine Focke-Wulf 189. Do I know much about the 189? I don't think I do. Highly detailed, detailing the fuselage and the engine elements. 2 options for the rear machine gun positions in the cabin. Decals for the end of the 1940s period. Right, well let's have a look at it, see what we've got. Because this is going to be very interesting, I think. Oops. Can't quite make it. Okay, we're in. It says we're in. I'm never quite sure with these boxes. Right, so it's a sort of a medium sort of box. It's not particularly small. And then we've got one big bag of plastic, all the screws in, and then we have got our instructions. Let's have a look at those first. Oh, we don't want that over there. I'm going to block the light out, so I'll move that. So it says, in the spring of 1937, based on the experience of the Spanish Civil War, the German Technical Department developed requirements for an attack aircraft, ground attack aircraft. Projects from 4 companies were considered as a competitive basis, including Focke-Wulf. Within the competition, specialists from this company converted their Fw189 V1 with 2 Argus AS410 engines, and they turned it into a 2-seater aircraft. The main part of the conversion involved replacing the central gondola with an armoured cabin housing the pilot and its gunner. Several variants were produced, and the 3rd aircraft in the experimental series, the 189 V6, became the Fw189C attack aircraft. It was equipped with the more powerful engines and armament, including 2 MGFF 20mm cannons and 4 MG17 machine guns. Whilst the defensive armament consisted of MG81 machine guns. Good grief, how many has it got then? So it's got guns there. Okay. So that's a lot of guns, isn't it? So that's it got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And another 2 of those. That sounds like it's got 8 guns. The aircraft underwent testing at Rechlin in the fall of 1940, but despite good results, it did not go into production. The primary attack aircraft of the Luftwaffe a bit later became the single-engined HS-129A. Wasn't that the biplane? Potential. Anyway, very interesting. So it gives technical specs, and it says the length was 12 metres long, wingspan of 18.4 metres. Big wingspan. Takeoff weight 4 tonnes. It's light, isn't it? Actually, that's pretty light for a big thing like that. Engines 2 Argus, and they are 2 engines at 465 horsepower. Not the most powerful engines. When you think of Mosquito has got a Merlin producing 1300 brake horsepower twice. It's not in the same league, is it? And it says maximum, but again, sorry, power weight ratio. It's quite light, isn't it? Maximum ceiling of 6,800 meters, kilometers. Service ceiling 6,800 kilometers. 68,000 meters. I think that's 68,000 feet. I think they put that in wrong. And then the maximum speed of 368 kilometers an hour. So that's 220 mile an hour, something like that. 225. Not overly fast either, is it? But again, ground attack aircraft don't normally have to be. And then it says 2 machine guns and 2 cannons and 6 machine guns. So I was right, it is 8. Okay. It's got recommended paint set is 3014 from ICM in their acrylic range. Good to go. Right, okay, let's just have a look first of all, as they popped out, at the decals. And you can see when I was talking about the, I don't know if you've seen it yet, the little field cooker, the field kitchen, which had some German emblems on it, which they were not actually swastikas, which was a little bit disappointing. Wasn't dead obvious because they were very small, but here they've gone back to their normal way of doing things. It's not a swastika, but you can make it into one, which is the whole point. It should be open to choice, shouldn't it? And there's nothing there that should offend anybody. If you want to make it offensive, if that's the way you want to look at it, that's up to you. But let's not be, let's not be erasing history. So, actually, very, very few decals, in fairness, and very nice ones, so nothing wrong there. All good. Let's have a look at the sprue maps then, because that's quite a lot, it looks like. A fair bit of plastic in this kit, actually, for a 72nd scale. It's got booms that remind me a little bit of a P-38 Lightning, actually, a little bit. Quite a few parts you're not going to use, for whatever reason, because there must be another variant coming. That's certainly true here. That's odd, it seems to show... Sorry, I'm just looking at the glass here. That seems to show that you don't seem to use... Oh yeah, of course not. Because it's all the the sort of greenhouse, glass house I should say. None of that gets used, you only use these very tiny windows. And yet it seems to show almost none of it is used. Almost none of that is used, look at that. See what I mean? That's a bit unusual, I bet you won't see that very often. Only one piece is used of the whole sprue. How bizarre. How bizarre. Okay. So obviously we've got this D1 sprue, which is the replacement glass. Yeah. Like an additional replacement glass for the very small windows. I mean, the visibility in this must have been hideously bad. Anyway, we start off with our machine gun with a twin drum. Like an MG34, isn't it? With a twin drum feeder. Then we've got. Then we've got. Oh, okay. So this is actually the cockpit area, the cabin. Most curious shape, isn't it, as well? And then we've got another machine gun. That's the gunners for the rear position. 2 parts going together for that, and that then gets installed at the back, complete with a piece of glass. Then you've got this sort of central inboard section for the wings, assembling that together, and then putting in, that's obviously where the cockpit's going to go, so you actually assemble your interior, including the instruments, on the inboard wing section rather than in a separate cockpit, which is very unusual. And then this armour plated sort of casket almost, like a tank, comes down on top of it. How bizarre. And then the front section, the front armour plating comes down on top of that with your windscreen in inverted commas, because there's not much of a screen, is there? Crumbs. It must have been very, very hard to fly in terms of visibility. And then you're going to build up your engine nacelles, and then they're going to go into the central wing. You've got your central boom elevator section at the back, horizontal stabiliser I should say, and then you're going to build that together, so you're going to put the elevators onto the horizontal stabiliser. Then you've got these big booms coming together, as I mentioned, a bit like a lightning almost, isn't it? And then that goes into the centre there, and then your rudders come on here and they get inserted into the back. Then we're going to build up the engine nacelles here, complete with the the actual front of the engines, which is like it's almost like shaped like a fan, isn't it, almost? Building the front section of that engine, of that engine there, going into the cells, as you see, complete with the propeller there. And then we're going to build up our wings, complete with ailerons and flaps, so that's quite nice. They've included that at 72nd scale, that's nice to see. Very nice. You've got an underwing light going in there, D18. And then on the other side, same again, you've got the flaps going on and then the ailerons going on there. And then you're bringing in those outboard wing sections, which are pretty big. It's quite big, isn't it? It's really quite a decent sized kit for a 72nd scale. And your nacelles go on as well. Then we've got two halves for the tyres and wheels combo, which I don't particularly like, but anyway, there we go. It's at small scale, it's not too much of a deal, I suppose. Then we've got the retraction gear, which looks quite novel and quite complicated actually, because I guess it goes up, doesn't sort of twist and turn or go sideways, it just goes back and forth, forward and aft. Then we've got our gear bay doors going on there, on both sides. And then we've got some bombs, so here's the ground attack element. I mean, it doesn't look like it carries a great deal of payload, to be honest. It looks like just a couple of light bombs on either wing, really. I mean, it looks like a £250 bomb to me, that. What do you think? Pretty small, aren't they? And then mask templates. Now, this is one time when I think ICM's not putting any masks in the set is probably okay, because there's so little glasswork on this aircraft. That's it. So that is good news, very good news. Apart from the light underneath, that's just about your lot. And then you've got your colour call out on the back. And I say it's almost like a sort of a dragonfly look to it. It sort of almost looks like an Apache helicopter a little bit, like a similar sort of styling to it, you know. And then you've got, you can see it's fair size. It's a very strange aircraft to fly. Just doesn't sound particularly fast or powerful to me, which would worry me if I was a pilot, I think. But I suppose they're probably taking it and then using it as ground attack in theatres where they'd use this. I suppose the concept would be they'd use this where they have overwhelming air superiority, probably on the Eastern Front. That's probably what it was designed for, really. That's probably their thinking, I suspect. So, that is the instructions, which look very nice. Let's look at the plastic. What do we got? Okay. So, we've got separate clear parts, which almost none of which you use, apart from I think one part. Here's the actual clear parts, which are tiny, so small. Let's have a look at what we've got then. So, looking at this, this is the central section of the inboard wing and the area where the cockpit actually goes. Whoops. Keep going. You can see here that that's very strange, isn't it, as a setup? So this is the area where your cockpit's going to go in here. And obviously you've got your nacelles either side for the engines. Then underneath you've got the underside. Some very nice detail panel line in there, rivets. Riveting's beautiful, look at that. It's a very nice kit, that is. Don't forget this is completely new tool kit, okay, so you haven't seen this before. Some very, very fine parts. And look at the nice moulding here, look at this. That's nice, isn't it? Excellent. And here, would you believe, is the cockpit. So you've got a pilot and a gunner who have to sit incredibly close, I'd suggest. Must have been quite sweaty in there. Not a lot of fresh air coming in, I would have thought, but there must be an intake, obviously, but crumbs. And that is actually the instrument panel on the right, would you believe? Isn't that incredible? Well, that's very nicely moulded. I've got to say, a beautiful piece of moulding there. I'm not going to bother opening this. Only because this is not going to get used apart from that one piece, which is actually this little window here. So the rest of it immaterial, so we'll ignore that. Let's look at the part you will use, which is this clear part here. I've never seen smaller clear parts in an aircraft kit. I really haven't. And a lot of this is frosted out because you're going to paint over that. So the only clear windows really, there's a back window for the gunner, and then there's this, it's hard to get it in, it's so tiny, and then there's this 3 little windows at the front for the pilot. Isn't that amazing? How awful. I mean, it's just, it must be very claustrophobic, especially if you're used to flying in a bomber that's got one of these glass houses. And then this window here on the right, that's just the gunner's window at the back, and again very claustrophobic. See how it's frosted out? Those are the areas you'll paint on top of the top of the cockpit, which is armour plated. So it's just intended to be a big flying tank, really, for want of a better expression. But that is remarkable. I think it sums up the nature of the aircraft in that sprue. I'm not sure it's something I'd have volunteered to fly in. They did have some very strange ideas, didn't they? What with the Natter and the Comet and this, absolutely bonkers. Yeah. It's almost like they were constantly trying to prove what they could do instead of thinking about what they actually needed. But you do get that sometimes. You get that with science as well, don't you? I think AI is a bit like that, to be honest. I'm not sure what advantages it really gives us, but anyway. Here we go. So we've got some absolutely beautiful moulding here. Let's get a little bit closer. There we go. Now, you see the fronts of these engines. But look at some of the detail here. Remember, this is a 72nd scale kit we've got in our hands here. Just look at the fantastic level of detail for a kit at this scale. It's absolutely amazing. There's the propellers, which strike me as being it's almost like a Cessna sort of engine and propeller, isn't it? And I was right about the bombs. They are tiny, aren't they? So they can only be 250 pounds, if that. Maybe even less. They're almost like these sort of World War I flechette bombs. They're so small. And then over here we've got things like the mud guards for the wheels here, for the tyres, for landing gear, and then we've got all this tiny parts that go in the cockpit, and just exquisite moulding. This is 72nd scale. This is one of the most detailed 72nd scale kits I've seen for a long time. This is up there with that gas patch Messerschmitt 163B Comet. That was a bit like this, but that was 3D printed, whereas this has been injection moulded. So, hey, this is impressive. This is the seat for the pilot. Look at that, tiny. Doesn't look overly comfy. And then over here you've got your. Again, you've got some lovely panel line. I didn't really sort of look at that. Look at the booms. Look at some of the panel lines and the little hatches here. Riveting. Beautiful. Very, very nice. Absolutely excellent. And then we've got our treaded, well, they are treaded wheels and tyres. Whoops, time to drop it. That's nice. Then we've got our retraction gear and legs for the undercarriage. Ailerons. And then down here we've got our weapons. We've actually got, take the way up. We've actually got here machine guns, which there are various poking out. We've got them poking out the back, we've got them poking out the front. Some of them are sort of semi-recessed. And over here you've got your MG34. And then you can see all those little things there are the twin drums, the ammunition drums for the guns. Isn't that nice? And then finally we have got quite a big sprue here. So this is the one that's got the tops of the wings on. Tops and bottoms actually. So this is the tops here, over on this side. Let's have a look at this. Yep. It's yeah, it's got this sort of swept wing design, hasn't it? So it's almost like it's quite low drag, relatively speaking. but then it's let down, I think, in terms of the aircraft design, just let down by its rather spindly, rather weak looking engines to me. They don't look anything special, do they? But this moulding definitely looks something special. Look at that. The detail that they've got here. And a 72nd scale kit, the rivets and the panel lining, that is absolutely beautiful. Turn it around a bit so you see it a bit better. Look at that. That's really, really pretty. And then here we've got our flaps and the I think it's a split flap, isn't it? A twin split flap. And I think I've got a delivery about to occur. So you'll have to excuse me a second. Right, sorry about that. We had a slight momentary break there. I got a nice delivery from the couriers. Anyway, so we're looking at these beautiful, beautiful panel lines, and again underneath, look at this. All the little hatches and all the riveting, all the little panels. This is as good as anybody. This is as good as anything I've seen this year that's injection moulded. It really is. It's like the Marauder, isn't it? Again, look at the detail here. Isn't that beautiful? That is absolutely stunning, to be honest. That is so, so nice. And then finally you've got all your nacelles of the side panels here. And obviously you've got there the rudders. And oh yes, and over here we've got the horizontal stabilisers. There and there. Absolutely fantastic. It's just a work of art, really. It's a work of art. It's so crisp. It's remarkable. I mean, I know I sort of rave on about ICM, and they send me these kits at no cost to me. It's not because of that, though. It's not because of that. I've got an enthusiasm for them because you see quality like that. I mean, who is actually producing something at 72nd scale that's actually better than that? Even Tamiya are not, are they? They're not worse, but this is right up there, isn't it? It's the new tool stuff. When they have a new tool, they seem to get better and better and better. Absolutely stunning, that. I mean, I know it's slightly bizarre and oblique, obscure subject, but I mean the details on these sprues, the cleanliness of the moulding and the sharpness of the sort of the engraving and detail, even on the machine guns, you know. I'm just going to look at that machine gun. Yeah, see if I can get this on the zoom. I probably won't be able to get it to do it justice, but just one final look. Just look at the, even at 1/72nd scale I'm talking, remember. Look at the detail of these machine guns when you see them. The vent holes, the cooling holes in those guns. Can you see that? I'm going to get as close as I can without losing focus. About there, I think. Now, 72nd scale, yeah? That's absolutely beautiful. Other side. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. It's a 10 out of 10 kit for sure, this. As I say, it's a rather odd subject, because I think they only made one in that trim, so to speak. Truly stunning kit. Absolutely brilliant. 10 out of 10. No question at all. It just makes my mouth water when I see them come up with these items, and it makes me want to sort of influence what they do next a bit more, because they're doing it so well. You know, they're as good as anybody out there right now. I mean, we did have a period where we thought that Great Wall Hobby was the best in terms of new kits coming out, in terms of these things like slide moulding, which they were doing a lot of these slide moulded weapons. I'm not trying to knock this particular manufacturer, but they've taken a real step backwards lately for reasons nobody quite understands, where they've suddenly gone away from slide moulded weapons and they've gone back to them being the same as everybody else's. And they've lost their USP, their unique selling point, which they had, where they had a clear desirability factor over and above what the other manufacturers were doing. So ICM are not doing that. They're moving forward very gradually, evolving. I mean, it's a very bizarre plane, but it's an absolutely stunning model. That kit is as finely detailed and as perfect as you could hope. And it's retailing this, I think it's around about the £35 mark. Probably get it cheaper if you shop around. Absolutely gorgeous. 10 out of 10. I feel like a stuck record, and people think, oh yeah, he's got to get some free. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. You know, they don't all get 10 out of 10. There's been one or two, the kit of the week when we got one that had a bit of flash on it. So it got marked down. But that's got no flash on it. It's absolutely stunning. That's as good an injection moulded kit as you'll ever see this year. That could also, I mean, I said this about the, was it the field cooker with the little figures and the chef. It made me laugh. But I said it could be in the top 10, that, and this could be in the top 10 because it's just so outstanding, you know. I mean, we've had the Armour Hobby Aerocobra, and to draw another comparison, at the same scale as this, I think, isn't it? And that didn't come out so well. They've done some, I don't know what changes have taken place with Armour. Somebody said that they've got another subcontractor doing the injection moulding, and it didn't come out looking as good. It was a little bit dirty and flashy, and it looks a bit crude in places. That is so sophisticated and so well conceived as a kit. That's got to be in the top 10 for this year's kits of the year, and I didn't remotely anticipate that. When I thought, oh, that's something. Look at that. That's unusual. We'll have a look at that. You know, I didn't expect the kit to be that good. So 10 out of 10 for ICM. Well done, guys. Really, really impressive. I just wonder what they're going to come up with next. You know. Anyway, I hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up, a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. And don't forget to ding the notification bell. And it's very important that you ding the all option. Not personalised, which will mean YouTube go off and decide to do all sorts of strange things. And they will decide for you what you do and don't like. And you don't want that. If you don't like my stuff, or if you're an Armour modeler and this is not your cup of tea, that's absolutely fine. But you choose. Don't let them do it for you. You can just say, oh, no, thanks, Pete. It'll be good, that, but I'm not interested in the subject. I do it all the time. It's fine. But don't let them make that choice for you, because you know there's a lot of this going on, and people are complaining they're not getting notifications on things they keenly want to see. So I suspect it's because we've got the personalised box ticked under notifications. So uncheck it and check all. Notify me for all. Ding. There you go. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Back soon with some more interesting stuff in the not too distant future, I'm sure. In the meantime, do look after yourselves, stay well, stay safe. Thank you for your time. Until next time, thanks a lot, take care, and bye for now.